Namaste and welcome. It's Rishi here from meditatewithrishi.com, and today we are going to be exploring the second Niyam from Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga, and the Niyam is Santosha or contentment. Okay, now we're going to be looking at what is contentment, why should you practice it, why is it so difficult to practice, and some essentially practical ways of how you can practice it in today's lifestyle where we live in this world of social media. More is better. How do you get out of that trap and be content with what you are doing and be happy? Okay, all right, so let's get to it. Now, before we start that, I want to tell you a really cool story that paints a great picture of contentment. Okay, and this is a story of the businessman and the fisherman. All right, you may have heard it, but it is said that one day in Brazil, on the beach, there was a businessman and he was just laying there on the beach, maybe on holiday, okay? And he sees this fisherman is walking toward him, coming out of the sea with a catch of about 3 or 4 fish. And the businessman, approaches him and he asks him, how long did it take you to catch those 4 fish? And he goes, not long, maybe an hour. And he's like, wow, that's a good day's work. So are you done? What are you going to do now? And he's like, well, now I'll go home, spend some time with my wife, have lunch. In the afternoon, my kids come home, right? We spend time with them. And then in the evening, I go and meet the boys for a drink. And we just, have a little party until 11 p.m., okay? And the businessman is like, why are you living like this? Why are you only working for 1 hour in the morning? Do you know how much more money you can make, right? So what if you were to stay much longer out in the sea, right? You can catch so many more fish and sell them and make so much more money. And he's like, the fisherman goes, why would I do that? Like, I'm already making enough for, my family and some of our neighbors as well. I don't need more. And he goes, no, but you can make so much more money, right? So if I were you, this is what I would do. I would stay there for much longer. I would catch more fish, and then make a lot more money. And the fisherman goes, okay, and then what? And it's like, then you'll have the money to buy a bigger boat. Then you can go and catch even more fish and make even more money. And the fisherman goes, okay, then what? And he's like, then you'll have enough fish to start selling outside of your village to different cities in Brazil, right? Maybe you'll get to a point where you can move to one of the main cities and open up an office, open up a factory, and actually start selling canned food, canned fish. And who knows, maybe one day I can help you take your company public, list it on the stock market, and then you'll have so much money. And the fisherman goes, well, then what? And he goes, well, then you'll be in a position to retire and, spend time on the beach. Have time for yourself, spend time with your wife and your kids and chill out. And the fisherman goes, well, why would I go through all that? Isn't that what I'm doing right now? And this is the story of so many of our lives, right? We have not answered the question, what gives me happiness? And what is enough, essentially? There's nothing wrong with having a lot of money. What's your number? Have you ever thought about that, right? So we live in this world where more is better, right? You see it everywhere. You're on social media. It's just constantly telling you that you are not enough. More. You need to do better, have more, everything, right? Cars, houses, better job, blah, 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 all these things, right? So I was in the thick of that rat race, right? For 8 years, I worked a career in London in sales. Sales, the whole point of being a salesman is to make money. My job was to make money, right? And that came, with that came the lifestyle of excessive partying, excessive alcohol, drugs, buying fancy things. And, luckily for me, I took it so much to the extreme that I was like, I can't continue like this, right? And I discovered meditation and my life took a complete 180-degree turn. So I'm thankful for that, right? But I think we can all, practice more contentment, right? Because ultimately we don't want to get to a position where we come to the end of our life and we realize that the things that we were chasing, these yardsticks of success, were not actually what makes us happy, right? They're not actually what makes us happy. So this is why in the science of yoga, or on the path of yoga, one of the most important niyams that we're discussing today is Santosha, is contentment. A mind that is not content can never be truly happy, right? So, in fact, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, right, they start with the statement, Atha Yoganushasanam, which means, and now begins the teaching of yoga. Now the teachings of yoga are expounded. What is now? Now simply means that now, when you have realized that none of the other stuff, none of the jobs, houses, cars, watches, booze, drugs, all these things, none of them are going to fill that void inside of you, right? Only when you realize that nothing that you can add will fill that void, will make you happy. Happiness can only be found within, realizing your true nature, touching that deep part of you that is essentially pure love, pure bliss, right? So only when you have that realization does the path of yoga actually begin. Okay, so without that, without contentment, there is no if you think that if I just do this, then I'll be happy, if I just get this, then I'll be happy, that's the rat race. That's never going to happen. And it's not easy, by the way, right? I'm not sitting here on a pedestal saying that I've conquered this. Of course not, right? But it's something that we need to be mindful of. And this is why I want to share with you now some practical ways on how we can do this, right? Because it's all in the practice. And the more we do, the more we do slowly, daily, the better we get at it, right? And ultimately it's about being happy. You wanna be happy, right? So that's the point. So what I've got over here today is a few questions that we can ask ourselves that will maybe give us a new perspective on life and perspective on how we're living it, how we're living our day, right? So how do we practice contentment, right? So the first thing is obviously realizing through, reading, through meditation, realizing that nothing that we add from the outside will make us happy. Everything is like anything that you think that if I just get this, or then I'll be happy. It's like an oasis in the desert. You reach there only to realize that it's not really water. It's not really what you expected, right? And as soon as you get it, the next want just arises. Desires have no end. It's said that trying to put an end to a desire by fulfilling it is like adding fuel to a fire. It's just going to get more and more. You're just going to keep wanting more and more and more, okay? So some questions that we can ask ourselves is, the first one that I would look at is just look deep and figure out what is it that truly makes you happy. When are you the happiest, right? And some of the answers you may come up with are when I'm spending time with my family, when I'm doing something creative, when I'm working on my passion, when I'm, just doing what I think is fun, playing a sport, something like this, right? Traveling. Very few of those things have to do with, when I get this car or when I live in this big house. Those things just evaporate like that. You're there, and within a couple of weeks, the excitement has worn off, right? So we must ask ourselves, what is it that really makes us happy? When are we happiest, right? So for me, I'll give you a simple example. Where I am right now in life, the most important things for me are my practice, first of all. So I'm trying to practice about 3 hours every single day. So 2 hours in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, okay? That makes me really happy. If I've done my practice in the morning, I'm like, wow, this is, I'm good, right? Doing videos like this make me really happy. If I've done my practice and I've done a video a day, I'm golden. That's pretty much me done for the day. Of course, spending time with family, right? Spending time with family and having the time to do that makes me happy, right? Having some time to maybe play cricket in the evening makes me happy, right? Or maybe cook something for my family, whatever it is, right? You will have your own. So what are these things? And really try to understand that how much does it cost to live that life that you're speaking about? It's often not as much. We think we want millions. Just calculate everything that you think you want, write it down, and put a monetary figure on it, right? How much does that cost per month? And it wouldn't be that much, you know? So, okay, that's number one. What really makes you happy? Then number two is, what is your current outlook in life? So is your outlook, and be very honest with yourself, is your outlook right now saying, I'm going for this goal, and when I get that, then I will be happy? Is that the outlook? Because it's likely that in some area of your life, you're like, I just want this promotion, then I'll be happy. I just want to find this partner, then I'll be happy, right? With me right now, I can't go to India, and I'm planning on getting married, so I'm kind of stuck, right? So my fiance and me are stuck for about, it's been 7 or 8 months now, and we have this thing in our mind that, okay, we just want to get married, you know, then we'll be happy. and of course, there's truth in that, but at the same time, we're trying our best to be mindful and enjoy where we are now, because that will come. But what about now? Why miss out on the now, right? So what is your current outlook in life? If there is an area that you feel like, once I have this, then I'll be happy, try to change that. Try to enjoy the process instead of gunning for the outcome, because the process is really where it's at, right? You know this, you already know this, you just need to practice it, okay? So then in our day-to-day, this is a really good way of looking at things. How do we eat, right? Are we eating to nourish ourselves? You know, do we take enough food and are we happy? Or are we eating out of greed? You know, you want the starter, you want the the main meal, you want the dessert as well, you want everything, right? It's a good indication of what is happening in our mind, okay? Is our mind constantly wanting, or is it like, you know what, that's enough, I don't need more, right? How do you work? Are you working 10, 12, 14 hours a day? Not having time for the important things in life? Or are you working a moderate amount? You know, maybe 4 to 6 hours, 7 hours, right? This is ultimately I think where we want to get to, right? Do you have time for your family? Do you have time to have some fun in the day? Do you have time, like an hour, to sit down and have a meal without needing to look at your phone, without needing to look at your laptop, right? At least once a day. Do you have time for your practice? At least an hour or two. If the answer to this is no, right, then it means that, and it may be different for you, right? These are the things that are important to me, but figure out what's important for you. But if we don't have the time for the important things and we think that, no, not right now, you know, once I finish this project or once I finish this XYZ, then I'll do it. It's never going to end. It is never going to end, okay? It's just we are deluding ourselves by thinking it's going to end. Because think about the last time you said that. Think about the last time you said, okay, I just want this. And then as soon as you got that, it was like, now on the next thing, right? So we need to realize that forget about what society thinks is success. Forget about what people are doing on Instagram and Facebook. Who cares? You need to be happy. And there is this great analogy that I love, right? So it is said that do not run after things, do not chase things. Instead, turn around and go toward the light, okay? The light essentially is your inner self, what is within you, that source of pure love. So don't chase things, turn around and go to the light, toward the light. And when you do that, you will have everything that you want, yet all the things that you wanted will begin to chase you. You know, letting go. You probably heard of letting go, right? Just let go and things will come to you. And there is truth in this. You know, it's like your shadow, right? So when you see your shadow and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. As a kid, you've probably done this and you're trying to run after your shadow. You're trying to catch the shadow. You can never catch your shadow. It's an illusion. It's always going to be a step ahead of you, right? That's like the happiness that we seek. But the moment you turn around toward the light, toward the sun, the moment you turn around toward the sun and start following the sun, the shadow automatically starts chasing you. Now it's chasing you, right? So in the same way in life, when you are essentially from this place of wholeheartedness, contentment, where you're not coming from an energy of I need. The paradox is that the things actually come to you. So, try it to experience it. You have nothing to lose, okay? But in essence, from the perspective of yoga, right? I'll finish with this. A mind that is not content, a mind that is always thinking about, I want this, I need this, I want this, I need this, cannot meditate. Because when you sit to meditate, no matter how hard you try, at some point, right, you'll be going deep in the meditation, but at some point, the desire will come up and you'll be thinking about planning, strategizing for the future, thinking that's meditation. That's not meditation. That's just daydreaming. So that is it. I really hope this helps. And comment below with an area that you are taking control of now and going to practice contentment in, right? Share it with me. I'll share some of mine with you, but practice. So that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening. Namaste.